If you have followed me over the years, you will know that it is my belief that every person should be raised for marriage. Many people were not raised for marriage. Many people just raise their children to be independent, to be able to live life on their own, not to depend on any man, not to depend on any woman. And they are wondering why we're having a lot of marital dysfunctions we are having today, why we are having a lot of divorce and everything that is happening. It is how you raise the children. It is how the community raise the young people in that space. You people raise people to be self-centered, to be selfish, to be thinking only of themselves, and you're wondering why they cannot do marriage. They will not be able to do marriage. We raise those people simply for their career, for them to be able to take care of themselves, live independently of themselves, and at the same time um, be be providers for us, be keepers for us, be caregivers for us. But this is what I want to say. I see people who complain every time that my husband is this, my husband is that, and that's because I'm a family lawyer and also a counseling psychologist. But then we have to, and I'm saying that if your husband, to a large extent, if your husband is behaving badly, to a large extent, his family is to blame. I know he's an adult, but what does scripture say? Train up a child in the way he should go, so that when he's old, he will not depart out of it. So there's every possibility that every adult you see out there is to a large extent a product of the training that he received from the family. There is that reality, right? There is that reality. So that's why we talk about culture, we talk about community culture, we talk about people culture, we talk about systems and the rest, right? So that's why one way or the other we expect Japanese to behave in a certain way, we expect Nigerians to behave in a certain way, we expect Americans and Europeans to behave in certain ways, and that's because from the way they were raised, although they are adults right now and they are supposed to have independent minds, we understand that the way they were raised, right, will greatly influence how they behave even as adults, right? Now, if your husband is not behaving properly, if you think your husband is a terrible husband, if you think your son-in-law is a terrible son-in-law, we should go back to how was this person raised. And now, leaving it that and coming to think about this, that we may not be able to change anything right now that has already happened. But the question I want to ask you is, you have sons, we have sons. I have two sons. My father has six sons, right? We have sons. How are we raising those boys? What type of husband will they be? What type of grandfather will they be? We have the responsibility to raise it. And we have 0 to about 21 years to do a lot of that wiring. So let me go back and let me break it down. You see, unto us a child is born, and unto us a son is given. All right. Now, a child is born, a son is given. But at the end of the day, we need to train this child in the way he should go, train this son in the way he should go, so that when he becomes old, when he becomes a husband, when he becomes a father, when he becomes an uncle, when he becomes a grandfather, he would not depart out of it. So there are things that I want us to see, and I wrote them down. So I want to just share directly, and I call them four things, right? There are four things we need to work on. So if we have a boy child right now, we are supposed to raise that boy child to become a son. Unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given. So we are supposed to raise it to be a son. So he's supposed to be a son to us. We are supposed to see this boy and like, oh, what an amazing son. We are proud of our son. We like the outcome of our son, right? So first, he is a son to us. Then secondly, we understand that this person has to be a man for himself and his community. So we have to raise this boy child to become a son for us. We have to raise him to become a man for himself and for the community that he lives and for the society he finds himself. Then we are also supposed to raise him to be a husband to his wife, right? A husband to his wife. So we ought to start teaching. What it means is I ought to start teaching my 5-year-old and my 7-year-old how to be husbands. Like, this is what is expected from them. We know that one of those ways is through modeling. So as a father, I'm supposed to model to him who a husband is, and we understand that his mother cannot model that, but his mother can give him instructions, because I was also giving instructions. This is how to treat a woman, this is how to behave around a woman, this is how to be responsible in the house, these are the things to do. So we have to raise him to be a husband. They also have to raise him to be a father. Many times, like for example, from the day I had my first son, I had never been a father. But over the years, my father raised me to be a father. How? One of the things he did for us, his sons, was to insist that we all volunteered in the children's church. Right? Volunteering in the children's church, what it did for us is that it forced us, right, to understand children, learn how to relate to children. I babysat two kids. We were always having to want to take care of other kids. We bring other children around. You just learned how to be a father, how to make decisions as a father, because being able to make decisions as a man is different from making decisions as a husband, because making decisions as a man is only about you. Making decisions as a husband is ensuring that our marriage work. This thing favors me and my wife. Then making decisions as a father is a whole lot different, because right now is you, your wife, your children, and everything, right? So we get to learn how to do those different things. Let's forgive our parents and our in-laws for not, maybe for not raising great men. They did the best they could. The belief is that if people know better, they will act better, right? So let's say we forgive them. But the question is that should will life forgive us? Will life be that merciful to us? Since we know all we know right now, we understand all we understand right now, and we still don't raise husbands that are better off than we are. And we still don't raise fathers, and we still don't raise men that are better off than we are. Who raised your husband? And who is it that is raising the husband of the next woman? Your rock.